Right, so the one I'm going to read's Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. I think I've learned it. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He won't see me waiting here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Well done, John.
Absolutely.
Why did you
I think
choose
I
it?
read that Frost did have another stanza in mind, perhaps, but it didn't quite work. So he just repeated the last line.
Yeah, that puts a
That
stop on the
stanza.
poem, doesn't
Right.
it? It's a nice dying fall, and repeating and all the rhymes are the same in the last verse, which isn't true of the other verses, and makes a dead stop to the poem.
It's
You
so
know it's
mysterious.
come to an
Finality,
end. Yeah.
We don't know. He begins, whose woods these are, I think I know. He begins with an affirmation of certainty, and then it's a totally mysterious poem, and you never know who he is. He knows, but we don't. We don't know why he's there. We don't know where he's going.
We
Complete
have to
mystery.
trust.
Absolute mystery.
I just
I
think
think it's a
it's a
moment of
pastoral.
truth.
I just think it's a pastoral poem by a man who's looking at nature with acute vision. This, the only other sounds a sweep of easy wind and downy flake. That first pristine snowfall makes the whole place hush.
Yes, done.
The whole world
does.
Yeah.
goes quiet.
And he's therefore responding.
I mean, I know people think that it's an allegory of life pressing on to death, but I think that's a rather gloomy view that Larkin might have.
Yeah.
Yes.
It raises so many questions. Whose the woods are. The house, the little horse thinks it's queer that he's stopping without a farmhouse, which is his normal business. We don't know why. He has promises to keep. Well, whatever are they?
Well,
We don't know
the
any
promises,
of them.
yes.
It's a universal thing here. I
Yes.
think we all have. We
Don't
all
you-
have to get on with our journey.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, don't you
can't
think he
hang
wants to
about.
say, if you just take it at face value, he wants to stay and look at it because it's beautiful, but he's got
Obligations.
duty
Yeah.
calls.
Which is like
Yeah.
life, isn't
Yes.
it? So we all would
It's
like to
perhaps
stop and
deceptively
stare.
simple.
But
Or
miles
is
to
it
go
too simple?
before I sleep.
Yes, it's
That's
on his
just-
journey.
I just like
indeed.
the phrase, don't you?
Yeah, he's on a long journey, evidently, and he mustn't linger because the woods are filling up with snow. President Kennedy used that in one of his speeches, and miles to go before I sleep, and I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, in one of his speeches.
Well, I knew that couplet before I ever knew the poem,
Yes, yes, I think a lot of people
and really
might.
enjoyed it.
Do you remember we discussed a little bit, Jack, that we likened it...
You liken to Adelstraw.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
Edward
Yes,
Thomas.
Yeah,
the
that's
Edward
right.
Thomas.
Well-
because here he finds a moment
Well,
of truth.
Edward
doesn't
Thomas
he?
was a
His
good-
train stops.
Edward Thomas was mentored by Robert Frost.
There you go.
Yes.
So there's a
Right.
link.
Right.
They
there.
both
Well put. Yes.
They both thought of in terms of cadence and intonation rather than meaning,
Yeah.
and that's how poetry speaks to you.
And Adelstrop has nothing
I mean,
to
this
do
is-
with regard to a story.
It's all
Like a
discussed.
romance.
It's all discussed in there.
Oh,
you
how
said that.
lovely. We'd
That's-
love to
that's
borrow
Now,
that.
all roads lead to France.
Yes.
It's really good.
And the road not taken, also by Frost, is also about a rather mysterious visit in a wood. The two roads in the wood, and he goes
Yeah.
down one and always wonders what was down the other. The same air of mystery and
Yeah.
woodland.
Yes.
Well, Frost used to say himself that he was a tricksy poet, didn't he? He said, don't always believe what I say.
Yes.
And lots of people thought not he was tricksy, but he was folksy.
Yeah.
People enjoyed him, and other people, more intellectual critics, sort of a bit disparaging about him. But
Too simplistic?
I guess that's the fate of all poets.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is very, very simple vocabulary and simple rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
Yet with this huge air of mystery pervading it,
Yeah.
I still feel we don't know anything about it.
And it's lasting.
And I don't
beauty.
care.
Without
Lasting beauty.
We just
really.
didn't like it.
Yeah.
if you knew what promises there were to keep, would that add to the poem?
Well, you mentioned that some people think that it's actual death, must go before I die, rather than sleep. Do you know any other justification for that reading?
No, I saw it in The Sopranos. You watch this the American soap, The Sopranos. The two kids, the two American children. The boy is trying to learn the poem,
Oh, yeah.
and he's being asked to write an essay about it. And his sister says to him, "It's all about death, you fool." I thought,
Ooh.
really?
Yeah. See, every individual sees something different in it. I didn't think it's about death. I thought about his long journey and about all of us snatching moments of beauty from hurrying on past because we've got obligations always.
But if we go back to thinking about cadence and intonation, I loved the poem because the way it flowed.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I learned it that I realised what the rhyming system was. It was hiding in plain sight.
Yes. Yeah.
4-line verses, lines 1, 2 and 4 rhyme. The third line doesn't, but it rhymes with the first, second and fourth line of the next verse, and so on, till you get to the last one when they all rhyme and the poem comes to a full stop.
Yeah.
That's right.
That may have a
Clever.
name, I don't know.
I don't know.
Not a villanelle, but
No.
something different.
I've never met it before, actually.
I don't know that either. But I realised that I enjoyed it for a reason that I hadn't found out
Yes. I found
until I learned
yes,
it.
you find yourself counting the rhymes and seeing how they go and thinking, I don't know that pattern.
Well, no. To try and learn it, you have to remember the rhymes.
You
So
do,
then you see
Yes.
where they come.
It is quite a striking situation. It's the darkest evening of the year, and it's freezing, and all he's got for his transport is a horse,
Well,
and he's
no,
got to go miles.
Yeah.
Well, no, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Well,
That's something that's inherent in the poem. Is that horse? If you ride a horse, it doesn't have harness bells. It has a bridle and a saddle.
Okay.
What he is, he's in a sledge.
Oh,
Yes, but
right.
I mean, he's only got a horse.
He's only got a horse to pull it.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And only a horse.
But he's
Yeah.
still got to go miles
Yes.
before he sleeps.
Yes.
That's right.
Only a couple.
That, look, you don't know. It pushes the work on. It pushes it, doesn't it? And it echoes all of our dilemma. All of our dilemma. You'd always love to linger over the things that you want to see and hear and do that thrill you, and obligations come in all the
Yeah,
time.
I've got to go back and walk the dogs.
Yeah,